This video is for all the aspiring young music students out there. The best thing you can do in your practice time is slow down.
Slow down.
Hey everyone, David Rishpan here again with you on YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about how slowing down, 3 different ways the phrase slow down applies to your practice time, and how counterintuitively slowing down in your practice routine will actually make the time spent more efficient. If you've been enjoying the videos I've been posting on this channel, please click like and subscribe and the bell notification, all those little buttons below the video. It really does help the channel and help the algorithm and help my videos reach you. So please click all of those buttons if you haven't already done so. All right, let's get into it. Slowing down begins once you enter the practice room, once you approach the instrument. Now, other instruments kind of have this built in where you have to put your horn together, you have to take the guitar out of the case, you have to put your cymbals on the drum set, adjust the drum set to your posture and to your liking. Whereas for piano players, what I see a lot with my piano students is they'll walk in, they'll sit down, and they'll just start playing. And I wouldn't even call it playing, I'll call it noodling, because they might even still be wearing their coat, honestly, and they haven't put themselves in a mindset, in a headspace where they are receptive for music to happen. The great drummer Matt Wilson calls it allowing the music to happen, allowing the art to happen. And if you're running in, you just got off the subway, you just got off the bus, you're running from a previous class to your lesson with me, your coat's kind of half on, take 30 seconds, take a minute, take 2 minutes to just really put yourself into the headspace of the class, of the next hour of playing music, listening to music. Just take a minute to be present in the moment and allow the music to come through you. This also applies when you're restarting a passage after having stopped. I will get to why stopping is really important in your practice time as well. But once you restart, or when you start a new part of your practice routine, give yourself the time to really think of the tempo, to really count yourself in, to really lock in with the metronome or the drum loop or the app or whatever it is you're practicing with. And again, just put yourself in the mindset, the headspace, the zone, and the tempo of the next section of your practice routine. The second definition of slowing down is practicing things at slower tempos. This is both for technique as well as for improvisation and harmonic comprehension, let's say. So, on the technical side of it, while yes, I know there are people who are saying the best way to get better at faster tempos, the best way to play fast is to practice fast, I kind of understand what they're getting at. What I have found in my own practice routine and with my students is there's a certain precision you need in order to play fast, in order to execute fast tempo lines, and that precision is much easier to evaluate at slower tempos. When you practice scales at really slow tempos, or if you practice the Hanon virtuoso pianist exercises at slow tempos, you'll hear every microscopic detail of, are your hands together, are your fingers holding notes longer than they need to, um, what is the movement of my hand and my wrist and my arm. You can isolate those movements at slower tempos. And then once you've cleaned it up at really slow tempos, I have found the flow is much easier at faster tempos because these technical limitations, these technical challenges are no longer in your way. One thing I see a lot is that people don't read ahead. From a written music perspective, what that means is I see a lot of people um, wind up on fingerings that don't work because they're not looking at the entirety of a phrase. They're just looking at one or two notes at a time or a beat at a time. They're not looking at the entire extent of the phrase, and so they wind up kind of painting themselves into a corner fingering wise. From a harmonic and improvisational perspective, what I often see is that people are treating the chord or the harmony that they're on, or they're treating the passage that they're on, like the 16th note that they're on, and they're not looking at what comes next. They're not thinking or reading, you know, in 2 bar, 4 bar, 8 bar phrases. They're really treating everything on its own terms individually, and that is slowing them down in not the good way. So, what I always suggest is to actually slow the tempo down so that you have a little bit of time baked in to look ahead. You are taking the piece at a speed where you have the luxury of looking a beat ahead, 2 beats ahead, a bar ahead. You know what's coming, and you can prepare the next target note or the next chord change because you're taking it at a tempo where it's not beyond your technical capacity and it's not beyond your improvisational capacity. It's at a speed where you can really deal with everything that is coming at you. So slow down the tempo for technical and improvisational reasons, and you'll see how much more fluency you have as a performer. And lastly, and I've talked about this before, I've talked about this if you've ever studied with me one on one, and I feel like I've talked about this on the channel as well. But the best way to fix a mistake is to stop. Freeze frame your mistake, analyze the mistake. Was it rhythmically incorrect? Is the fingering incorrect? Am I playing the right interval? Am I playing the right notes? Did I play a minor chord when it should have been major? Just freeze your mistake. And then the next thing you play is the correction of the mistake you made. Far too often, I see students try to correct their mistake by playing random crap. They won't think about what the mistake was or how to fix it. It's a panic response from having made a mistake in front of their teacher. Oh God, I need to fix this. And they just play a series of 5 or 6 more wrong things before landing on what the right thing is. And I firmly believe, I'm not a neuroscientist, but I firmly believe in this, that your brain needs to understand the connection between the error and the correction, between the mistake and the fix. And if your brain has now been polluted, your ears and your brain have now been polluted with a whole bunch of noise in between. And so we haven't wired the mistake and the fix together, the understanding that you have of what the correction was is not as profound, I think, as if you had stopped, figured out what the mistake was, and then the next sound you make is what you were intending to do, or what the right note, chord, fingering, rhythm, whatever is. In my experience, it is also exponentially harder to unlearn something. So if you learned something wrong because you weren't taking it slowly enough, the wrong thing is now burned into your brain and your ears and your hands. And that takes so much more time to fix, to unlearn and relearn, than it does to just learn it properly the first time. So I really hope that this idea of slowing down helps in restructuring your practice time, in reevaluating your process in the practice room. And I realize that it's counterintuitive. I know that we are all very much wanting to see the results as quickly as possible, that, we want to be responsive to the advice our teachers give us, that we want to prove that we are assimilating their instructions. But just take the beat every so often. Just take the breath and the 30 seconds or a minute to really feel the tempo. Make sure you are in a mindset that will allow for productivity and inspiration. And I hope that you will see that slowing down actually gets you quicker results. Thanks so much for watching. Once again, click all the little buttons below the video if you haven't done so already. My name is David Rishpan. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.